Howdy-ho, Andrew here, aka Kelfier, aka Drathsin. Welcome to the Onion Buns and welcome to Tales of Neverwinter Nights. So, as I said last week, we're going to be doing Drathsin stories, and I got 2 of them for you today. And just a quick reminder that Drathsin he was the house assassin for the house I was in, and Dialanthar. And so these are his stories. And let's get to them. VDVM. Now, before I get to the story, what VDVM is, the VDVM was a place created by Zaknafane of Tol, Temple of Loth, for roleplay purposes. Only a select few were allowed to enter this academy for training. Training there was secretive and could be deadly. So it was a assassin's guild for roleplay purposes. And that's what Drathsin's second story he wrote is VDVM. And I have absolutely no clue what that stands for. And Mavrelin didn't write what it stands for either. So I don't know what the acronym is for. The Shadows were a place where he spent his life, moving from one to the other in search of his next duty. Tonight, he quickly made his way towards the meeting with his Yathara Mavrelin. He had received the message to come to her later that eve, his mind searching for a reason for this surprise summons. Within the shadows, he moved, until reaching the gate where he was greeted by the guards. They let him in after confirming his presence was wanted. Walking quickly across the compound, he levitated to the balcony that would give him access to the room where he was to meet her in. Softly, his feet touched down, not making a sound. His eyes glowed red, searching the area quickly for signs of others. But it was his ears that found them for him. Listening, he found that the Yathara had a guest already. Silently moving to the door, he waited and listened. Grinning, he reasoned he should not interrupt her, for it could be an important meeting. Instead, he decided he would stand guard. Standing by the door, he began to lose interest in their talk when he picked out something about the VDVM. His knowledge of the school being limited, he sought to find out as much as he could. He knew the Alharson didn't send her members there often. But there he was, hearing Mavrelin and another male talking of it briefly. Then he heard his own name, Drathsin, Might. The rest lost with the buzz of excitement in his head. With his mind racing and trying to pick out their conversation, he grew interested in knowing more and hopefully being given permission to attend. He bade his time waiting for the conversation to end. Hearing footsteps pad out of the room, he waited for a moment, then entered quietly. Dropping to his knee, he greeted the Yathar, waiting for her acknowledgement of him. After the greeting, he rose and awaited for her to give him his command and job for the night. Listening, he waited until she had finished when he decided to ask her a VDVM. Explaining that he would like to enter the VDVM and undergo training, she looked at him with amusement. Finishing speaking, he lowered his head, hoping he had not spoken out of line. His eyes gleamed a bright red as he awaited what she would say with anticipation. I will send word to the Jabuk of your interest, Drathsin, but it will have to wait until my house is completed. Now go and secure the compound there. After the Alharis Jazra's celebration is over, I will expect it to be ready for my arrival. And that ends this story, Death Dealt by Drathsin. From within the shadows, Drathsin watched and waited. His blade settled gently in his hands. Drath walked slowly around the area looking for intruders on the young female's training. He had just come to the end of the tunnel when he heard the footsteps and intricate sounds of magic being spoken. Merging with the shadows, his silent footfalls took him towards the sound quickly. His eyes glowed a fiery red as he saw the human Nero. From the shadow, Drath burst out, his weapons coming up. As his first dagger flew through the air, Nero stumbled backwards as the dagger sunk into his shoulder. But Drath quickly recovered, sliding behind a pillar. From behind, he caught the sound of quiet steps approaching and knew it was the Yathrin. Pushing thoughts of the female away, he went on after his victim. Levitating upwards, he moved through the air towards the pillar that hid the human. Nero had fought Drow before and expected this, casting a fumble spell as Drath came around the pillar. Releasing the small sticky net of his own, Drath dropped and rolled. trying to avoid the other spell. Unfortunately, the assassin was caught in it as he dropped. Landing gently, he still made it behind another pillar, growling as he realized his movements had slowed. He tried to consider his alternatives. Then he heard the Yathrin shout the words of a spell. Coming back around, he spotted the human falling back from the force of the Yathrin's spell. Smiling, Drath pulled another well-balanced blade from his boot, and he hit Nero from behind. The force of the blow knocked the human to the ground. Nero rolled upon hitting the ground and began casting another spell. Quicker than thought possible, both Drath and the Yathrin jumped away. Whatever spell the mage cast passed harmlessly over Drath as he ducked, but he heard the strangled gasp come from the Yathrin. Running across the floor, he spotted her. Her frozen form indicated she had been struck by a hold spell. His fury building, he ran at the human, firing 2 bolts from his handheld crossbow and catching Nero in the chest, his words sounding loudly in his ears. He let go another dagger and watched as it raced across the area, striking Nero. The smell of blood and sweat was strong. Drath's vision cleared as the blood rage diminished and returned to normal. Walking softly towards the Yathrin, he stood guard and waited for her release from the binding spell. As soon as the priestess was free, Drath returned to the still form. Sneering, he kicked the lifeless body before tossing it into the flow of the sewage. With an evil grin, he turned and disappeared into the shadows to continue his duty. And those are the 2 stories I'm going to read to you today, written by Drathsin. The early stories obviously tell about his roleplay and training and duties as the house assassin. Something I should mention on these stories, though, is if you watched mine flowed from Zaknafir into mine, but they all basically covered one big giant story arc. With Drath, he didn't have the cooperative roleplay that I was having as the wizard. His was a more solo. So what you're seeing with his stories are he's telling the story, then he's going into game, and he's role-playing for like a month in game. And what happens in the role play is what affects his next story. So you're kind of going from jump to jump to jump rather than that big story arc. That, and it just has to do with the different roles in the different role play. The Yathrin, like him and I believe it was Katie, but it's been many years, so I'm not 100% sure now. But I believe it was Katie, and they were inseparable in game. They were absolutely inseparable. So what you heard in the story, that's how they were in game role-playing. Like, the only time you didn't see Drathsin with Katie is when him and I were out PvPing in the Lost Hills or in the arena as Drow, because PvP wasn't really Katie's thing. Otherwise, I'm sure she would have been there with us. So it kind of explains why his stories are more like, well, here's a story, and then here's a story, and then here's a story, but none of them really have to do with each other. That's why. It was a different character, a different type of role play. Again, mine was a more cooperative role play. I was being trained to be the house wizard. Whereas with Drath, he came in as the house assassin. And this is just stories of his duties. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. If you liked the video, leave a like, a subscribe, and a share. I'm trying to grow my channel, and a like, a subscribe, and a share does me wonders, and I do appreciate it. Takes 1 second to subscribe. Costs you absolutely nothing, helps me immensely. Just hit the subscribe button on the bottom of the screen. If you're watching this on Rumble, please follow my channel. Always feel free to leave a comment. I keep saying it. If you have any roleplay stories of your own, and it doesn't have to be Drow, but if you have roleplay stories that you've written or you want to type up to tell me about, by all means, please do, and I will put them into future videos. And obviously, I will give you full credit, just like I'm giving Drath, and just like I'll be giving Marvelyn and Selena and all the other players that wrote stories. So if you have any material you want to share, please share. And also, when you leave a comment, it really does help me with the YouTube algorithm and getting more eyes on my videos. And as always, pew 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 and shit. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.